everybody, Jen here from Diffusing the Tension with your weekly video. I'm in a different setting this week because I normally film it in our bedroom, but my husband is watching cartoons with the girls in the bedroom, and so I am down here in the basement. So how is everybody doing today? If you're watching this, let me know who's watching, where you're watching from in the comments, and I will say hello and give you a shout out as those comments pop up. Today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite topics. It's probably my favorite topic lately, and that is self-care. As you guys know, unfortunately, there are a lot of things going on in the news, a lot of things that are causing people a lot of stress and anxiety. Myself included, I'm really, really troubled by a lot of the things going on in the news right now. I'm a big supporter, obviously, of Black Lives Matter, and it hurts me to see all my friends in the people of color community really, really hurting right now. And also being Pride Month, which I'm a big supporter of, and I know there can be a lot of negative feelings associated with a person's sexual identity. And so before I start talking about self-care, I want to really, really extend my sincerest just hugs, thoughts, good vibes to any person of color watching this and any person in the LGBTQIA community. I'm really thinking about you guys right now. And that's one of the reasons I want to talk about self-care. I think that's something that a lot of people really need right now because so many people in the world are really struggling. And so I want to talk about the best way to get self-care to make it the most effective for you as possible. I think for self-care to be effective, it has to have 4 distinct characteristics. The first characteristic is that your self-care activity has to be duplicatable. And so if you find something that works for you, say for me, one of my top self-care activities is sitting in a quiet room and sort of disengaging my mind with a show on Netflix, that activity has to be duplicatable. And so if you find something that works for you, it has to be something that you can do over and over again on a daily basis. So if you find something that works, like an expensive spa day, that's not really duplicatable because it's not something you can do over and over again with regularity. It's not financially viable for most people. The second characteristic that I think has to be a part of self-care is kind of along those same lines. It has to be affordable. So for instance, I found our trip to Disney World in December very fun and restorative. It was a great way for us all to connect with each other. Now, is that something I can do on a month-to-month basis? Probably not. We spent way too much money in Disney World. You're welcome, Walt. So yeah, it has to be duplicatable, number 1. It has to be affordable, number 2. Now, the third thing that self-care needs to be for it to be effective is it needs to be restorative. And I'm going to kind of use my Disney World example when I talk about the difference between something being restorative and pleasurable. Now, our Disney World trip was obviously a lot of fun. It was our kids' first time in Disney, so we made a lot of really great memories with them. Obviously, Disney World is just a fun and awesome vacation to take to begin with. But I wouldn't say that every single bit of it was restorative for me. There was a lot of overstimulation with noise and crowds, and you're not always eating the best sorts of things for your body. Obviously, the food in Disney is amazing and delicious and filled with a lot of things that don't always make you feel good. And so it was a very, very fun trip, but it wasn't always restorative. There were many moments of it, especially with 2 small children, that were very tiring. As I said, we weren't always eating the proper things. We were getting worn out and frustrated with the kids' behavior at times. And so when you're picking a self-care activity to use on a regular basis, you want to make sure that it's restorative versus pleasurable. Which for me, calling back to the first example I gave of being able to sit in a dark, quiet room and sort of disengage with Netflix, that's restorative to me because as sort of an empathic introvert, I get really burdened throughout the day with the noise from the kids, the chatter, all the touching. And so it's restorative for me to be able to lay by myself in a quiet room, and that tends to make me feel better. So keep in mind when you're picking a self-care activity to make sure it's not just fun and pleasurable, but that it's also restorative as well. And the last characteristic that I want to talk about for something that I think self-care needs to be is it needs to be non-toxic. And this one can be a little challenging. What I mean by non-toxic is it needs to not involve toxic people, not take place in a toxic situation, and it needs to be something that just generally makes you feel positive. And so for a lot of people, a really nice self-care activity might be like going to get a manicure with your friend and like catching up, because maybe you're trapped with your kids a lot because you're a stay-at-home mom and you just want the chance to get out with a friend. And I think that can be an all right self-care activity. But if that friend is a type of friend who is really gossipy and always talks negatively and maybe doesn't make you feel that great about yourself, you may still consider them a friend, but that might not be the best person to spend time with when you're trying to get self-care. Because remember, self-care is all about restoring positivity to your mind. It's restoring calm to your heart. And if you're doing those activities with negative people and in places that kind of stir up negative feelings inside you, it might not be the best activity for you. And so those are my thoughts on self-care. So to sum up, self-care, for it to be effective, needs to be duplicatable, affordable, restorative, and non-toxic. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Let me know some of your favorite self-care activities. You can put those in the comments as well. I would love to hear them. I am going to put the blog post that this video is based off of. I'm going to put a link to it in the description to this video. So go check it out. Make sure you comment and share the blog post because it really helps me out. It helps more people be able to see my writing when more people comment on it and share it. And then when you're done, if you could leave some love on this video and subscribe to my channel, that would be very much appreciated. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will catch you next week. Bye-bye.